So please welcome Charlene Cheeny Plante, a Maine native, a veteran U.S. Air Force SERE specialist, which is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape specialist, and a reality television survivalist. Dun, dun. Cheeny served for 8 years as a SERE specialist, training military personnel to endure extreme environments. She brought her formidable skills to the Discovery Channel's reality series Naked and Afraid multiple times. And then she has most recently earned the title of Last Woman Standing. And she's here to share stories about resilience, mental toughness, and etc. So, shall we begin?
Let's begin.
Okay. Typical first question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And even, right, yeah, I'm gonna limit you on time. So what about something like growing up in Maine, outdoors? How did that lead you to SERE? How did that lead you?
Okay, so born in Maine, grew up in Sanford, all the way up through high school. So my legal name is Charlene, but everybody calls me Cheeny, because when my brother was little, learning to talk, he couldn't say Charlene, and Cheeny's what came out, so that's what everybody calls me. So yeah, grew up in Sanford, I'm 35 now, so when I was a kid, you know, we still had dial-up, AOL, MySpace, YouTube wasn't a thing, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram. I didn't have a cell phone probably until I was 16, so I did what every Maine kid did before technology, went outside. You know, me and my cousins and my whole family were a very outdoor oriented family. Everybody hunts, everybody fishes, we had 4-wheelers back then, and that's just what you did. You went outside because there's nothing inside to do besides read. And a lot of the books I read were on explorers, adventurers, mostly real world stories, and that's where I got a lot of my inspiration from, was from reading about those people. Let's see. So I always knew I wanted to be in the military. When I was 8 years old, I watched a show on the Discovery Channel, of all shows, on the Marine Corps, and I thought it was the coolest thing, and that's what I wanted to do. I was gonna be a Marine. And then as I got older, we got into high school, I realized that maybe that wasn't the best path for me. Probably want something with a little more structure, something I could actually use when I got out of the military, but I thought I wanted to do 20 years. So I joined the delayed entry program. I joined when I was 16. My parents had to sign the paperwork, so the rule was Navy or Air Force, or we're not signing. So I had to pick one. And I went with the Air Force because they had the job SERE, which sounded cool to a teenager. You're basically a wilderness survival instructor, you get a chance to go to jump school, dive school, all that. So it looked like a really great, fun, adventurous life, and that's what I wanted to do. And you remember, because you were my teacher in high school at home. And that was my path, and I was so dedicated. I worked out every day. I would run, swim, do calisthenics, whatever. I just did something, and I knew I had to be fit. I had no idea what the job was gonna be like, but I knew what the standards were for the physical fitness test and to pass it. So I basically took the standards and I doubled them. Because you should never just meet the standard, you should always exceed it. That way if you come a little lower, you still pass. That's always been my thing, like why just go for the status quo? Because that's how our world is nowadays, everybody's like, oh, good enough, good enough, good enough. And that's not really getting us anywhere. So I always thought, you know, shoot a little higher. Because if, you know, you miss a little bit, you're still pretty high up there. So I left when I was 18. I think I graduated high school and left probably 2 weeks later. I had never left Maine, you know, maybe went to Boston a couple times for a field trip, but I went down to Texas, went to basic training, went through SERE training down there, selection training. To this day, some of the hardest stuff I've done. And then up to Washington State for my tech school for SERE, which was 6 months long, which really was, I mean, the hardest stuff. You know, you're 18, you're away from home, you're task saturated, pushed to your mental limit, pushed to your physical limit, and all my training was outdoors in the mountains. Because I'm a wilderness survival instructor. We started January, somewhere in the first week of January, maybe the 7th, and then we graduated in June. and all of my training was in northern Washington State on the border of Canada and the mountains. So, yeah, putting on frozen boots every morning builds character, and you know, and it was cold. I don't know what the temperature was because we weren't allowed to know, but it was. I mean, you get out of your sleep bag and you already start shaking. It was that cold, and I think that's what really helped me with Naked and Afraid, because I kept thinking back to SERE training and I'm like, this is nothing compared to that. So even though Naked and Afraid pushed me to my limits multiple times, it never even got close to what SERE training was like. As far as the sleep deprivation goes, the physical extremes of it, the mental. Because I mean, when you don't sleep for a couple of days and you're hallucinating, like I would have to shovel snow in my campsite because I don't want to sleep on the snow, right? I don't want to sleep on the ground. So I have to shovel a couple feet of snow to get to the ground, and I'm so tired that as I'm shoveling, I'm falling asleep. And the only thing that's waking me up is my momentum bringing me backwards. I mean, that was when I was 18, and I still remember it. So, you know, middle of the night, pitch black, and we've just been shoveling for hours. And I'm just like, I would wake up and like falling. I'm like, oh my god, I'm falling asleep shoveling stuff. But anyway, enough about that. So I was in the Air Force for 8 years. My job was to teach air crew how to survive every environment in the world because, you know, wars change, environments change. You know, we were in Vietnam for a while, and then we were in the Middle East, and now, you know, done stuff in South America. We're all over the place. So I had to teach these pilots what to do if they ever not just get shot down, but there's an aircraft malfunction. And they have to jump out of the plane or ride the plane down to the ground, or if it's over water. I had to train them for every possible scenario imaginable. And it was about a 3-week class that they'd have to go through, and I did that for about 4.5 years. And then I moved on to some other stuff, but the majority of my time in the Air Force was training air crew on how to survive if anything happened to them. So
I'm gonna piggyback onto that statement because I wanna ask you about how did that seem to go for you as a female trying to tell, not for nothing, I feel like I could take you to the ground in weight only, certainly not in a physical challenge, but you're not very big
no.
and you're not very intimidating. And in the military, as I understand it, your gender already has like, so that's like 3 strikes against you. You're pleasant, you're little,
Mhm.
and you're female.
Mhm.
Did that impact, how did that impact any of that world?
I get asked that question a lot.
I'm sure you did.
And you know, and honestly, I never noticed it.
Because you don't treat people based on their appearance, why would they do that same?
That's true. I guess I never thought to look for it, but I never felt that vibe from anybody.
Oh, wow.
Because I would show up, and I'm sure they thought it, but I never thought to think that they thought it. Because when I grew up in a place where we respected each other. So I didn't know that such disrespect and ignorance existed in the world, because I grew up around people that, I mean, I was always the only girl, but the guys knew, oh, she's pretty tough. Nobody ever really gave me any shit.
Mhm.
So once I got into the real world, that's when I learned, oh wow, it's pretty dark out here. I was just lucky enough to grow up in a place where, at least people that I knew, we all respected each other. Most people, because I went to Catholic school growing up, and we all followed the golden rule, which is something I still try to follow. And yeah, I mean, I've always believed that you should never judge a book by its cover, because you never know who you're dealing with. Like, people give me like, oh, she's just small, whatever. But I've proven time and time again that my size, my gender doesn't matter. I mean, with Naked and Afraid, Matt Wright, Mr. Naked and Afraid, he's 6'3", 6 foot something. He's huge, and I beat him a couple times.
Not bragging, I'm not just saying.
But no, I just I never noticed it. I didn't think that. I just didn't think that was a thing, and I'm glad that I grew up that way. Because if I went into the military thinking, oh, people are gonna judge me, oh, I'm put myself in this box of, this victim mentality, I probably would have doubted myself more. but I didn't, because then deep down I knew I was like, I think I can do this, you know, I don't know, I think I can, and that's the key, if you think you can, I mean, the only way to find it, you gotta just keep going. You know, my favorite quote is the only way out is through. So even when you're in a position where you feel like there's no way out, you can't just sit there, you have to find some sort of way out of the situation. So you can either emerge victorious or, you know, with your tail tucked between your legs. But I mean, yeah, there's probably people that didn't believe in me, but I never noticed it. I didn't think about it because I was so focused on what I wanted to do. Like I want to be a SERE specialist. I want to do this, I want to do this. And there was one time where I got washed back because I didn't meet one of the physical standards. I had to do this rock march, a big backpack, I had to weigh 65 pounds, they put weights in it, you had to weigh it. So it was all legit. And you had to do a 4-mile rock march in an hour, and I was over by like 3 minutes. And this was at the end, so I had to go back and do it, the whole test again. It was a 2-week long selection course. This was at the end. So to go through all of that, to fail by 3 minutes, and they asked me if I wanted to do it again, and I'm just saying, listen, I really want to go through that. Well, it was 2 weeks straight, there was no break. So do I really want to do that again? I was like, yeah. Because this is what I want to do, and I can't call my parents and tell them I quit. I know I can. So I went through it all again, passed it by like 3 or 4 minutes. Yep, and then carried on because I mean, if you give up, who knows what you're really walking away from. So I was like, I can't walk away.
There's a new phrase, it's new to me, maybe you've heard it, this idea of imposter syndrome, have you heard that one?
I felt it on this last Nathan.
Did you? Okay, so,
I don't belong here.
okay, so you just defined it, right? So this idea of I don't belong where I am.
Was it? So the best advice I got for that, because I was talking to another one of the cast members when I was out there, I was like, man, how? I don't belong here. He was like, that's how you know you belong here.
That's how you know.
That's how you know.
The minute
you don't. That's how
Why
you
did
know.
you feel that way? Why'd you feel that way? That's fine.
Well, I mean, I was up against some of the biggest names in the whole League and Afraid franchise. And some of those people there, like, it's their life.
Yeah.
You know, like it's all they ever talk about. It's kind of awkward, like, we ever go out to dinner, they'll like bring it up to the wait staff, like, and I'm like, what do you think, you're gonna get a free meal? I'm just like, nobody cares. So it was like, there's a lot of ego involved in it, and so like there's always like Naked and Afraid gatherings and stuff that we like to go do for like reunions and stuff. I don't go to any of them, so I'm like, I don't need to compare my challenge to your challenge. I don't. And so I don't know, you're just around these people where I mean, you know what they're made of, they're intimidating, and some of them are all talk, but some of them are really humble and cool. And it's just like, I don't know, it was weird. I just I was like, man, maybe I made a mistake, maybe I shouldn't have come out to this. And I was like, well, I'm here anyway. I'm in Australia and I can't really go home. And I was gonna start filming in a couple of days, so I can't just quit. And yeah, I just went into it, and every day I was like, I'm just gonna make it till the sun sets. And but yeah, it's my biggest piece of advice. If you feel like you don't belong there, there's a good chance you probably do.
Alright, ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
Okay. What first motivated you to participate in Naked and Afraid? Cause there was hesitation at first.
Oh yeah.
And then what was it like? And then how did it change your point of view doing a television show versus SERE training? Anyway, you want to take it.
Yeah, so I never volunteered to be on the show. I never watched it. I knew what it was. I was like, yeah, it's kind of a silly concept. I wasn't a fan. And they somehow found me on social media. They had like talent scouts, and they reached out. They're trying to sell it to me. They didn't tell me what the name of the show was. Oh, you know, and they're going on, and I'm just sitting there like, oh God, we Naked and Afraid. Like be alone or be something else to do. I'm like, Naked and Afraid. I'm like, so you heard Naked and Afraid? I'm like, yeah. I was like, I don't know, what do you think about it? And I don't know, I just had this thought, like, this is happening for a reason. Say yes, who knows what's gonna happen. So they flew me out to LA to meet with the producers, do an interview with them. Moved back to Maine, I did a bunch of videos and like how-tos of like different shelters. Even though they wanted me on the show, I had to still do the same process of people that do volunteer to be on the show. So I go through the whole thing and ready to go, and then the pandemic happens, everything shut down, so I have to wait, a year later, they open back up, they start filming again. And I go out there to Africa for my first one ever. And I just I didn't think I did anything special. I made it 21 days, caught some fish. It was funny on TV, had a couple of one-liners, and we were all done. And I was like, I don't know if they're ever gonna call me again. I didn't really do anything that great, And apparently I did like amazing. I like caught fish, and I was like, oh, I mean, that's what you do. And so I'm trying to think. It was not even a year later, they called me again, like, hey, we want to do a solo series where you do 21 days by yourself, no partner. You can either send you to Mexico or Africa, whichever one you want to do in June. They have 2 spots open, and I was like, Africa. Mexico. And I've been to Africa before, and I love South Africa, totally country. So I go back there, I do the solo, and I told them, I was like, I can't do cold weather because of my poor circulation, and they sent me to the Karoo Desert, just in the center of Africa, and it was there in June. I have to remember they're in the southern hemisphere, so their winter is our summer. So June, they're going in winter, and the Karoo is at like 4,000 feet, so it's like Colorado basically. And I'm waking up in the morning to like frost on the grass. I'm burning through all of my firewood in one night, like piles of wood that should last a couple of nights. Burning through the whole thing in one night. I'm just up all night just feeding fire, like exhausted. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it 21 days, but I did. And then the cycle just went on from there. I was like a legend after that solo, because even the crew was like, we're having a hard time. We have clothes and shoes and a camp to do tonight. And then after that, it was just like every year they call me every year, like, hey, we're filming, we wanna go. And sometimes it's no, sometimes it's yes. And this year's a no, but I don't know. Next year might be a yes, unless I'm on city council, and it's definitely a no. But
We're gonna come back to city council.
yeah,
Okay, we're gonna stick with this one for a minute. Have the other shows contacted you alone or any of that other one?
no, there's a non-compete. So
Oh, there
one
was a
is on National Geographic.
Okay.
You can never, it's on Discovery. Yeah,
Okay.
but I've done 4 Nathan and Afraid's now. 99 days, which I think is a good number to end on. So I'm like really, I get a lot of enjoyment out of telling them no every time they call me. Cause I'm like, I got 99 days, I kind of want to end there.
Yeah, it's a good number.
And I don't know, just no matter what I'm faced with in my day-to-day life, I went 99 days naked with nothing. And then I also was a SERE specialist for 8 years. Pretty sure I'm gonna be okay. If I forgot something, I'm going on a trip, I'm like, if I forgot it,
Yeah.
I don't need it. I can't think of it right now, probably don't need it. If I do need it, I'll figure out a way to fix that problem when I get there. But I just every day when I wake up, I'm like, there's literally nothing I can't handle.
How'd you keep your brain active? Because you see that a lot in these shows, like a lot of them don't do well because they're weak mental health,
Yeah.
So how do you keep yourself going?
I would just think about my food was torture. Think about, oh man, just the weirdest dishes, places I wanted to eat when I came back. Or I would think about, I own my own house, so I'm like, alright, I have all my projects. And I would just run through the whole project in my head. I'm like, okay, so I got all this stuff in the basement, it's not organized, I should build some shelves. I'm like, how can I build the shelves? So I think about how I was gonna build them.
Right.
And I was like, okay, where can I get the wood? How can I save money doing this? And then I'm gonna get boxes for everything. Yeah, I'm gonna label boxes, so everything's gonna be like organized. And I'm gonna get home and organize all my shit. So like, that's what I did. I would just think of like, what am I gonna do when I get out of here? And then what am I gonna eat? Yeah.
What did you miss the most from that? I mean, is there anything particular?
Food wise? Or
What did you crave us being out there.
Other than the blanket.
Yeah.
I was gonna say warmth,
What was it?
Warmth and a
blanket.
blanket.
Oh, besides food, what kind of food did you crave?
waffles.
Waffles.
Yes, white rice, just a bowl, white rice with butter and salt, that's like the one thing
Yeah.
that drives me crazy out there, small carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Waffles with syrup and butter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
nachos. Yeah. Ice water, cause you're boiling your water to purify it, so you're just, I mean, I'm in Africa, it's like 100 degrees during the day and I'm drinking hot water. I just want ice.
Yeah.
It's the little things, you know?
Did you have to eat anything weird? And by weird, that's by Maine or American standards, where you like going, oh, look, cricket on a stick or something like
I
that.
didn't eat crickets, but there were these grubs, like wood grubs in Africa. They were big, they were the size of my thumb. And I would just kind of roast them. And because they're just little things of fat. So it was like eating butter. Like unsalted butter.
With a crispy shell.
I wish, yeah. And then grasshoppers, they're weird because like anything with like a hard exoskeleton and a gooey inside, it's like when you go to like stab it with a stick and roast it, like all that goodness comes out of it.
And then you're sitting there with the
Yeah, then they'll
exoskeleton.
yeah, so I started just boiling everything. And grasshoppers turn pink like shrimp.
Fun fact. Fun fact.
But no, yeah, big grasshoppers, grubs. I ate a pig's head. It's on this tree, which is like, I actually just got 2 pig's heads from a friend of mine yesterday. And because on this previous last one standing, I was partnered with Matt Wright, he shot a wild pig. And the head was like, about that big, it could fit in our pot, so he boiled in the pot for hours, so it was like pork tender, we didn't have any porks, but we just sat there and they didn't show it on TV because they don't want, companionship and friends, television. But it was a great scene, because Matt and I are sitting there on the edge of the river with this cooked pig's head. And we're just picking off pieces of it, he's like, oh, I'm gonna try a lymph node. Then we split the tongue, because the tongue is like the best part, we're like, we eat the cheeks and the eyeballs, eat the brain. But that's
In different countries, that's
the head is head's just, and
yeah.
when I came home from Australia this last year, I got a pig's head from a local farm and brought it over to my best friend's house, and we had people over and we cooked it in the oven like turkey. And then we had it on the table with some more stuff, we just sat on the table and got pig's head.
Wow.
It's
Chinese, we all eat that.
and it's good. Yeah,
And
pig's
that's so
head,
great, so the rest, everybody else is like e, and
it's
you
delicious.
So
you grew up in another country where,
we eat a pig head, tongue, cheek,
Brain.
neck, brain, everything,
yeah,
you name it.
Yeah.
I think Spain also has.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I know the European countries, pig's cheek and jowl and.
It was so good. It is, it's marbled meat, fat, and it's just, it's like beef cheeks are delicacy, we get one from the butcher. But I mean, a pig's head, people think like, oh, weird, it's delicious. Pig's feet, delicious.
Yeah.
So good. Pig heart, so good.
So you.
On a thought process only, not in reality, but although at some point you hear kids or you hear adults or something say, we travel a little bit, people would say, I would never eat that. I said, you would never eat that because you're not hungry. So I've been hungry plenty, and they said, no, if you were, and again, this is a thought, not an experience, but if you were hungry enough, some of the stuff that you ate was substance and
It was
ends up
good.
being good.
Yeah, like I ate plenty of, they're called terrapins, they're these turtles in Africa that can be land or in the water. And they stink, they're muddy, they have leeches on them, they look just nasty. It tastes like roasted pork. After you cook them, they're delicious. It's like, you never know until you try something. And a couple years ago, I went to Vietnam for a month, just on vacation. And I tried every weird thing I could, and there's only one thing that I couldn't stomach, and that was shrimp paste. It was very it's a fermented shrimp paste.
Yeah, so I was gonna say,
And
it's
it's
fermented and,
Very pungent, and I couldn't do it.
yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Before you go on these shows, they tell you what not to eat, what to avoid, because you'll get step sick, sometimes.
With the plants and stuff, yeah, they
Yeah,
give you like
they
a
tell you what
general,
you, okay, what to
what
stay
to
away.
avoid, and but it's so dry out there that there's really no vegetation that you can eat, so you're just relying on reptiles, fish, small game if you can get it, big game if you're lucky, but birds, eggs. But yeah, you're mostly on a carnivore diet when you're out there. Which is why I want rice. So bad.
Please give me some
Oh, it's
plants.
rice. Yeah, the crew's like, is that all you want? You're done? 2021? I was like, I just want a full rice. You're easy. They're like,
Oh, good, Cheny's here, let's just give her this box.
but I will say, so when they do pick you up and they bring you back to the lodge, they'll have food out there. I will not eat junk food.
Nah.
They'll have like potato chips and like,
Not even chocolate.
I eat chocolate, but it would make me sick.
Yeah, after however,
Yeah.
however many
Like
days.
they have a thing and it's like crackers and chips and I'm health nuts, I'm always looking at the ingredients and I'm like, oh, no way. They still use that here? What? It's banned in the
How long
US.
does it take your body to get back to normal?
Months.
Yeah, right.
Months, I'm gonna have heartburn forever. It's just bad, just not good. Yeah.
So I know that you may not watch yourself, but it'll be like a split screen, it'll be like you running through the woods or whatever you're up to, making a fire, and then they'll have a photo of you standing, like Barbie doll pose, and they'll be like slapping your stats up and everything, and talking about your body, right, yeah, your weight, yes, and all this kind of stuff. Have you been able to gain back muscle mass? I know they talked one time about that you lost so much muscle mass and that sort of stuff. Are you?
Yeah, my first one, like the last 6 days, there was just no food, we didn't eat, and I weighed like 108 pounds when I got out.
What?
Yeah, I saw myself in the mirror, I was like, oh, I was like a preteen. I was like wicked skinny, like stick arms. I was sad, I was like, my muscles are gone. But your body's amazing. It puffs back out like within a couple of months, because a lot of it's water weight. And I mean, yeah, your body does eat the muscle, but muscle has memory and you'll fill back out to what you were before. So people go on diets and they lose a bunch of weight and then they end up gaining it back eventually. Your body has this like, I don't call it homeostasis, but when it's at a certain level for a while, that's what it wants to be. And so so for me, it takes a couple of months and then I'm right back up to where I was. But yeah, it's hard. It's really hard.
So my next question for you is, how was this most recent last one standing, how was this different from the other experiences? Why would you be able to say, I'm done, I can walk away, this was a good?
This was a good one. I mean, I never could have predicted what had happened out there with, so for those of you that haven't watched it, halfway through, there were 4 women and 4 men left, and halfway through, there was 3 of the other women, decided to leave. And not gonna lie, I was good. Like, I was kinda like, yeah, I'm kinda over this, and they didn't wanna be there anymore for their own personal reasons, and, when it came time to walk away, I just couldn't do it. Like, something just switched, I was like, no, I don't need to be here, like, I'm not just gonna leave, because I was bored, basically. Yeah.
And
I was
too many
bored.
grubs to eat,
I was like,
nothing exciting.
It was like there's the competitions every couple of days, but we were just like waiting for competition and waiting, and then I don't know, I just was like, it's been 5 days, I'm like, what can I do something? And yeah, I don't know, it was a weird time, but I decided to stay, and I was like, I know I can do this, I know I can be here, I know I have a chance of winning, I can at least make it to the top 3. So I don't really want to go home. There's nothing I really need to go home to, and I'm dedicated to this. Like, I chose to be here. I worked really hard before I came here, as far as like eating and working out and just getting my mind right. And yeah, I've never had that feeling before in my life where I felt so sure of something. I was like, I have to follow this. And yeah, just after that, every competition, because before you were all in these little groups, so you're like insulated by your group, and then after that it was all solo competition, so it was me against everybody else, and then I could really see, okay, how do I stack up against everybody? Because before I was paired up with 2 guys, and it was easy because they were huge and very strong, and they did a lot of the heavy lifting. So that's how it was designed, and we had these groups to get everybody through, and then it was just me, and I was like, oh my god, I just beat Matt Wright. Like, oh shoot, I just beat Max. Like, oh my god, I came in first. Oh shoot, came in second on that. And then I was just kind of like inching my way up to the top. And then the longer I was out there, the more I just got used to the piece of it all. Cause I mean, we were in a gorgeous place along the river with these beautiful what's that, eucalyptus trees everywhere, kangaroos everywhere. It was like, I mean, you go away from the river and it was like a hellscape. But as long as you were next to the river, it was an oasis full of water, very green and very lush. I just remember laying in this little patch of sand, it was my bed, and next to the fire, and I could see through the canopy just enough to see the Milky Way. And I was just listening to the fire crackle, and I hadn't seen, lights, light bulbs, there's no sirens, there's no emails, I'm just laying out there like, man, I don't have shit to do. I don't have anything to worry about, I don't have to go cut my grass, I don't have to wash any dishes, I don't have to feed any animals, I don't have to check my mail, I don't have to go to the grocery store if I'd like to go to the grocery store. I'm like, this is nice, I'm like shut off from the world, and it was before the election, so I got to tune all that out. So I'm so tired of watching everybody at each other's throats, that stuff. And I was just laying out there, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, and this is great. This is great. I don't wanna know. And so, yeah, I just kinda stayed out there. Like, and then the competitions were really fun. Something to do. I love competition as long as it's like healthy. And yeah, like no harm, no foul if you beat somebody. It's like I was just better at you than that. So try harder next time. That competition's great, it really shows you what you're made of. See where you stack up against them. I loved it. I was actually really sad when it was over, which was the first, because normally I can't wait to go take a shower and eat real food. But after that I was like, I just have to sleep with real morning.
So this is a quote from you. You said, survival is not just about building a shelter or starting a fire, it's about adapting and finding creative solutions when you're at your lowest. You said something like that on one of the times that you were on. So how about could you talk about what principles you used when you were on the show? Like resourceful, patient, etc. And then the other one was, I know that you stand on ethics for a lot of things. You stand on your principles and you are firm about being kind. So if you want to talk about, if you want to tell some tales about what it was like.
Yes, so even though it's this big TV show, I never think about that when I'm out there. Like the camera's there, I can see it, but it's like I tune it out. And especially after I was the last woman there, it was like this big responsibility that I felt in a way. So I was like, well, I'm representing, women everywhere. And I wasn't really out there to prove anything, but you're a role model for people. Because I had done 3 seasons previously, and I get a lot of messages from people. It's telling me what an inspiration I am for them and how they use something I said or something that they watched me do, and they use that in everyday life. Like people that are nervous about their marathon, so they would rewatch my episode. I had a woman send me that, or people that are like, my 5-year-old daughter loves you, and so I play it back in my head, and I go, the odds were so stacked against me. I'm the last one left, and I'm the smallest person here, and I have the least amount of days I'm naked and afraid out of all these other guys. And I was like, yeah, I could get in my own way and what if myself to death and trip over myself, or I can be the person that I know I am and I can go into this and just go 100% full bore, give it everything I have, and I can keep being an inspiration for people. Because I didn't think when I was little, I didn't have that much as far as TV and shows and social media and stuff like that. I had books. And a lot of my inspiration came from stories of people that were against the greatest odds. People getting trapped on the ice in Antarctica, ships sinking and them surviving in a lifeboat forever. People getting lost in the woods with nothing, like lost on a mountain in Maine. And I think back to all those stories that I read growing up, and like I could be that story for somebody else. And if I walk away or if I don't give it everything that I have, what am I kind of an example of myself? So that was my mind when I was out there. I was like, I'm some little kid, boy or girl, doesn't matter. I'm somebody's inspiration. And it's the least I can do because, you know, you watch TV nowadays and there's not a lot of good, strong, positive role models on there. Which is kind of a bummer. You know, it's like, what are kids really learning from looking at, you know, like Desperate Housewives? From high maintenance people that have everything, you know, I'm like, well, we show people what you can do with nothing. Your feet are against the fire.
I was just like, what, now how do I follow that question, right?
What are you doing now?
There's more to the question, but I
No, that, it was one of those ones that, I know that we've had a conversation previously about how you left one of the shows because they had asked you to go against your principles. Can you tell us what that? I mean, you told me before, but like, you know.
Yeah, that one was weird. Cause I had never done a big group one like that before, and those other people had a history with each other. And so it felt weird from the get-go. And I really wanted nothing, I wanted to stay out of it, but the way it was edited, it looked like I was part of it, which
Part of like the drama and.
yeah, which is why I tell people, like, you can't believe everything you see on TV because anything can get spun to fit a certain narrative. So, yeah, that one like really affected me for a while because there was a lot of backlash that I got from that. And I'm like, it's not even true, but I can't even defend myself.
Right, because no one else saw the footage.
And nobody else would know, but even people, they were all, it was like this family feud that I was in the middle of, and I just wanted to be there to compete, and that feuding was getting into everything, and I'm like, I came out here to like kind of get away from, that's why I go on Naked Afraid, I wanna get away from drama and bull crap and all that stuff, which a reality TV show is just nothing but it.
Right.
So,
They wanted.
but like, well, at least I'm outside, I can always just go fishing to get away from it. But it just yeah, I had this idea in my mind of this grand adventure and this grand competition and fighting for, you know, this title and this money and doing all this stuff, and you know, life still goes on, you know, when you're not there. Like my sister was having her first baby and all this stuff, and I knew I was gonna miss it, and she knew it. I talked with her beforehand, and I was like, you know, this is, looking back, I was like, man, it's kind of selfish of me, but I was like, the baby, I knew when the due date was, I knew it'd be back like 2 weeks after that, and I'm like, well, it's a baby, like, it doesn't do anything for the first 8 weeks anyway, and everybody else wants to see it, so, you know, it's okay if I miss it, so I was just kind of rationalizing it, but yeah, I got out there, and I saw just all this like crap, and I was like, man, what am I doing out here? You know, because my family support me, I have a great family, very supportive, very hardworking, I love my family, and man, I put, you know, something so unimportant, you know, an adventure, money for them, I was like, that's not me. And it was a hard decision to quit, and you're on national television, millions of people, and anybody like that watches Naked Afraid, you see people tap out, they're always like, oh, what a sissy, or you know, everybody always has some negative comment, it's like, you don't know what that person is going through, you don't know what that person was going through before the show.
Right.
Like I heard a story of a guy that his wife divorced him. Like while he had left and he's waiting to start. It starts like the next day, he's called from his wife and leaving him. Now he has to go do 21 days out in the wild with that. Nobody knows that.
Right.
So it's like you never know what somebody else is going through. So I mean there was a lot under the surface with that, and yeah, I got a lot of flack for it. I was really angry. Because I was like, well, it's not true, but I can't defend myself. I was like, do I even need to defend myself against these people? I don't care about them. Like I know the truth, and that's all that matters. And so when I had a chance to go back, I was like, all right, I already know what to expect. I've already done one of these group ones. No matter what happens out there, I'm not leaving.
Doesn't sound like you quit, it sounded like you stood up your principles.
Yeah.
I did, and when I was out there, I wanted to prove a point that you don't have to lie, cheat, or steal to get to the top. My job was to show up, survive, the competitions were the competitions. I knew what I had to do to come in first place for each one. I was like, no hard feelings, I'm just gonna shoot bow and arrow better than you. I'm just gonna run a little bit faster than you. I'm just gonna, I don't know, like with the rocket stove. I was like, I've never built a rocket stove before. but I'm sure we're gonna have to figure it out real fast. And I had self-doubt the whole time, and I was at dead last for quite a while during that challenge. And the whole time I was like, you just can't quit. Just don't give up, because there's so many people watching this, so many little kids watching this. What kind of a message are you gonna send if you quit? And it was cold and rainy, and I was like, if I stop, I'm gonna get cold. So the faster I do, the warmer I'll be. And then before that I won, in first place. And I won the asset that I desperately needed for the friction fire challenge.
Oh.
I wish, it was a paracord. I needed it for the friction fire challenge
Nice.
to keep me in the game. And I mean, that was divine intervention if I ever experienced it, because I was dead last doing something I had no idea what I was doing. And I ended up winning the one item that guaranteed my success, final three. So, you never know till you try with anything. So it's like, how do you know what your limit is if you don't keep pushing yourself?
Alright, you ready for the next one?
I'm ready for the next one.
Alright. So what steps do you think people in the community, we as a community, we as a university, what steps could we take that would lead all of us to supporting and uplifting others, other women, others in general? What do you think? In our professional lives, not our personal lives.
I think if everybody, if they don't know what the golden rule is, knowing what it is and following it, treat others the way you want to be treated. I mean, I think that's the best way to move forward, because we're always, labeling things, putting things in little boxes. And just remember that at the end of the day, we're all people and we all want the same thing. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what your skin color is, doesn't matter what your gender is, doesn't matter where you came from. None of those things matter. Who are you now? And what do we want? We all want the same thing. We all want acceptance. We all want love. We all want to feel safe. We all want to be somewhere that's clean. We all want to be healthy. We all want, I love crawling into bed every night and being warm. I love being able to turn on my furnace in the winter and have heat. I love being able to open up my fridge and knowing that I have food. I love being able to, just going outside right now and just looking at how beautiful the leaves are. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. And we have to remember that. So just with the way the world is nowadays, we have to set aside our differences, because it doesn't matter if you're on this team or that team, or you believe in this or you believe in that, or this religion or that religion. At the end of the day, we all want the same core things. And if we all just work together to help each other reach those goals, I think the world's gonna start being a better place.
So would that be your message that you would want to broadcast out, quote unquote, Cheeny says?
I think we're all more alike than we think.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, we all have a lot more in common with each other than we think.
Okay, we're gonna open it up to questions. So we do have a student in the, hi, Sharon. So Sharon, if you wanna think of any questions, just go ahead and buzz in if you want to, and the rest of you, when fire away. Well, not literally, because that would probably upset her.
I got a comment and a question.
You promised when you win, and did that really pay that? I've heard some of these shows on TV, you promised $1 million, but you're gonna get 10,000.
No, they do promise you on last one standing $100,000 if you win. And you do get the $100,000 if you win. I didn't win, Darren did. But I'm glad he did win, because he's doing this really cool bee therapy thing. He's building these little Airbnb huts with beehives in the walls. So you can hear the vibration and the hum of the bees, and you can also, get the honey out of it too. And that's his dream he lives out in Colorado, and that money helped him build a couple more huts. Yeah, and Darren's just a good guy. And he really, he was much better at survival. He can flint nab, he can shoot a bow and arrow, he can scan anything. He's so smart. And I mean, yeah, in my mind, he deserved to win, and I told him a couple times on camera, I was like, man, I'm like, I'm nice if I win, but I really want you to win. If anybody's gonna win, I hope it's you. So. Other than that, you just get street cred. Sure.
Sharon, did you have a question?
I got a comment and a question.
Okay.
So the first thing, kudos to you for being on Naked and Afraid.
Say that
I
again,
watched
sweetie?
that show, I watched that show and it's amazing. And okay, it's a random question. What was the first meal you had when you got back from the show?
What was the first meal you had? You got that?
So my very first one, I had this dish called poika. It's like an African beef stew basically, but it's made with like lamb, potatoes, onions. It's cooked in this big cast iron cauldron over the fire, and it's so good. I really wanted that, and they made it for me afterwards. My solo, they made me. I wanted a steak because the meat out there, it's all cattle are like a Brahmin cattle, and they're out on rangeland eating herbs and stuff like that. So I had them grill me a steak, but then they also cooked this lamb for me over an open fire on a spit for hours, and it wasn't ready until like midnight. But you know, they still made me a steak, and then that night we hung out just eating this lamb that was just they'd been eating sagebrush, and they like basted it with red wine and roasted. It was amazing. The first season of Last Man Standing, I had pigeons.
Rice though?
I did eat my rice. Yep, did eat my rice. Season 1 of Last Man Standing, I got these giant 9-inch prawns that were caught off the coast. And then they had chicken livers over there. They have peri chicken livers in South Africa. So it's in a spicy pepper sauce with either like crusty bread or on rice or on a croissant. It's amazing. So I had that. And then season 4 was in Australia, and they brought us, because we were like out there was hours and hours and hours to get back to civilization. So they brought us some food for when we were done. And we were like, we just wanted, because there were wild figs growing there. We're like, we want fig jam and crackers and cheese. I was like, I want coffee in a can because I miss coffee. And I think that was it. We were like, yeah, we just want like a really nice cheese. It's a fig jam. And they were like, that's it. I was like, yeah, that's all we want. We're good. And then that night we had kangaroo, steak, something else. I don't remember, potatoes, I think, for like roasted potatoes.
Does kangaroo taste like chicken?
And they're really lean red meat.
Okay.
Kangaroo is really good. Really good.
Doesn't taste like venison or.
Nope, it's not that gamey. But yeah, it's really lean. Yeah.
Alright, we still have a few minutes to ask her questions, or we can make her still talk about it.
What about injuries? You gonna get hurt out there? Maybe some bad stuff going on, bad injuries, something.
Bad injuries. I never had anything. A couple people stepped on poles and burned their foot. I got a fish hook in my finger on the very first one I ever did. I was tying a knot in the line, and I thought I was holding it, right, so anything would happen, and it slipped, and I pulled the hook right into my thumb. I mean, right into it, like deep. I was like, this isn't coming out. So the medics had to come and I think we ended up cutting the eyelid off it, pushing it out. So once the adrenaline wore off, I know, I was like, so you have to move now because I'm full of adrenaline, and once that wears off, it's gonna hurt. So
Yeah.
We got it just in time, and I was like, I'm gonna throw up, so we had to hurry up. There was that.
That's how you keep it clean, and once you have that and you're out there.
It was like Wolverine. It's sealed up within like 24 hours.
Wow.
And I looked at it the next day. Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, I don't even know where it went in.
I still remember watching that one, because you were like, I'm gonna be, so I'm watching it, and you get it, and I was just like, that's like, and then you said, that's like a rookie mistake, and you're like literally sitting there going.
I know, I was like, I just got here and now I was an infection. I was so mad. I was like, I would do this. I'm all thrust no vector sometimes, and
all this chatter is like going on while she's like looking at it.
yeah, and the medics came and dug it out, and yeah, I was like, oh, of
But
course.
that was your injury.
That was my big one. I don't think I had anything else after that. I've never had any infections. No big cuts. Some people have Matt, he's very accident prone, he burned his hand really bad, and he had a blister the size of a golf ball. And then another time he cut his hand, had to get stitches. And I've had to get stitches before, but never on the show, and I'm like, can't really stick you with any numbing agent out there, they just have to sew you up. So Matt's had a lot more, but he's in like 9 or 10. He has like over 300 days, I'm like, good at 99. But yeah, I think that the more you do, the higher your chances get, eventually you get hurt.
So you said earlier that when they first called you, you were saying, please don't be naked and afraid.
Yeah.
It's like, just don't
I
be.
never really wanted to be on TV.
Well, I get that one, but the whole naked part.
It's actually the best part.
Okay. Explain. I'm just thinking the sunburn only is the same.
You get dusty, like there's all, like so the desert's all the dust. It like coats all the minerals from the dirt, like it reflects the sun. Yep, yeah, the mud will keep you cool, keep the bugs off you, but I've never been sunburned. Yeah,
So the naked part, go
the
ahead.
naked part is the best part. It was awkward at first, I didn't really know how I was gonna handle it.
Yeah.
But then within like first probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you're in it and you just feel like I don't have time to think about something so trivial. And yeah, I think these camera crews, this is all they film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like this, so I just kept telling myself that I'm like, I'm not the first person I've seen naked, my partner's naked, most people are naked, we're all naked, and I'm like, this is my new normal. So I'm just gonna go with it. And then you just get used to it and it's just, it feels really nice.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, we live in this society where it's very taboo. I mean, yeah, there's some places you probably shouldn't be naked, but I feel like, no, the human body is a really beautiful thing. And it should be appreciated and it shouldn't be covered up or shunned. You know, you should love your body. It does great things.
You ever question why the camera crew and the rest didn't have to do it naked as well, just to prove that it's.
Snakes naked,
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
competitors.
but everybody pockets put their batteries.
That's.
But yeah, the naked part was great. I like it. Yeah.
So spiritually, how were you different after those experiences?
That's a great question. Those are the questions I like getting asked. Spiritually, I've learned what it's like to have nothing. And I appreciate everything. And every day I tell myself, and I look around and I go, someday this can all be gone. Whether it's, you know, asteroid impact, solar flare that fries the grid, EMP from China, nuclear war, I'm like, one of these days, this could all be gone. So I need to appreciate this right now.
So that kind of coincides with what I believe, that life itself is the true meaning in life. Did that bring you to that point too?
It did. Yeah.
That being alive is good enough.
And we get so lost in the ether of everyday life that we forget, like, you're alive, everything's beautiful, and you have a very great life compared to a lot of people on the planet. And you need to be appreciative, because right now everybody's like pointing fingers and victim blaming each other, and I'm like, stop. Let's practice gratitude. Remember when we used to talk about gratitude? You know, I wake up every day and, you know, I don't journal or do affirmations or anything like that, but just in my own mind, and when I'm making coffee, I'm like, I'm so grateful I get to have this. So I've done humanitarian aid trips and I've been to third world countries and I've seen how other people live. I just I look and I go, I have a floor.
Yeah.
It's not dirt. I don't have to share a bed with my entire family.
Right.
I don't live in a shack. My roof doesn't leak.
So where do you go from here?
Run for city council.
Here?
Sanford. Sanford, yeah, I'm getting into local government, which we need more young people in government, we need more people that care in government. Cause I live in Sanford, I don't wanna move, I grew up there. I do love it there, does it have its problems? Yes, everywhere does, I'll tell you that right now, I've been everywhere, I've lived in Seattle, I've lived in Denver, I've lived in Florida, I've lived Pennsylvania, I've been to numerous countries. You know, whether it's military or my civilian life, been a lot of places, I'll tell you, everywhere has problems, but problems have solutions, just depends on what you're willing to do and if you're willing to work together. So it's like, this is a time now where they're trying to force us apart, this is a time now where we have to come together. We have to set aside our differences because we're all humans and we all want the same thing. We have to work together, because that's the only way we're making it out of this.
So you had all these experiences and you didn't have to pay for them.
Not so much, no.
Yes.
Did you make any money, for all that?
Isn't that a terrible question, but I've been dying to ask. Dying to ask.
Well, I bought these clothes at Goodwill, thanks, but no, I didn't really get anything money wise.
You don't get guest appearances, they don't pay you for guest appearances.
This is my first guest appearance.
Right.
This is my
Thank you.
I gave her some
I
swag.
think this is why I actually
got me,
I mean,
Yeah, motivational talks, that might
Yeah.
be the future, who knows?
I mean, for me, as long as I don't know, not that I really wanna make a difference in the world, but as long as I just wanna help people. Cause I don't really make money, I paint houses, and I'm a fishing guide too, so. You know, between those two jobs, I'm doing alright, and it's like, I don't really want to make money off of trying to help people better their lives. So I'm happy to do these kind of things for free, cause in a way, I mean, what goes around comes around, cause we're making, trying to make, you know, the world.
I have a Girl Scout troop, I'd love you to come talk to me. They're first graders and they're all girls, there's 17 girls, I'm like, oh. Yes, stop, these girls,
Yeah,
they'll talk.
that was
They're
fun.
so caught up in all this nonsense world too.
I know, and I just tell people, I'm like, don't listen to it. You know, it's not as bad as you think it is. You know, the world's a good place and there are more. There's a lot of really good people out there. Good doesn't make the news.
It doesn't make the
Good doesn't make the news.
And we're gonna stop recording, so thank you, everybody who came. And those of you who are in the room, you're certainly welcome to stay as long as Cheeny says that
Yeah.
she's hanging around
I'm
for.
ready.
So thank you to everyone, and thank you from UMA Saco for, and thank you to Cheeny.